destruction. Guess who's here? The bad boys arrest me. Just a competition when the war.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jason Frazier with the Mortgage X podcast, and I'm going to welcome you to another episode of 75X. And 75X is a new series on the Mortgage X podcast. We have two new series, the Mortgage Extras, which we'll get into here in a second, and then just the normal Mortgage X podcast that we do with Christine Beckwith and I, where we bring in guests from that are X factors and experts in the mortgage industry. Mortgage X is a proud member of the Real Disrupt podcasting family. You can check out more awesome podcasts at realdisrupt.com. And speaking of Real Disrupt, one of our podcasts on there is Positively Charged by Laura Brandeo. And I want to give a shout out to her and to AFR Wholesale for being a longtime supporter of the Mortgage X podcast. Now, if this is your first time here, 75X is a no-nonsense, no BS, uncut version of Mortgage X that has a lot to do with the lessons I'm learning and things things that I'm experiencing, why I do the 75 Hard program. So if you are listening to this with kids around, you may want to listen to it later. Look, I try to keep it clean, but, as I said, this is kind of an uncut, no BS version. So sometimes, a word or two get past the filters, right? So anyways, I just want to let you know that. I always, if this is your first time listening, I want to make sure that you understand that this is a separate series of Mortgage X podcast. So I would listen to 75X1, which is the first episode in the series, so you can kind of understand what this is going to be about. And I try to keep them to about 15 to 20 minutes. Just to let you guys know exactly what to expect with the 75X, and it's going to be for some, it's going to be for some people. Some people are not going to dig this format. So it's really up to you. Just wanted to let you know. And so if it isn't for you, then you could just go to the next episode of our regularly scheduled programming. On top of this being a podcast, this also is streamed on Mortflix, which is a streaming app that's on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, basically all the streaming devices. So you can download the Mortflix app and get the video version of 75X. One thing that we like to talk about at the very beginning of each episode is that if this episode speaks to you, or any episode of the Mortgage X podcast, would love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to give us a review and share it out. Share it out to others in the industry, because it helps us to grow our audience of the podcast. Before we get started, I just want to let you know, I mentioned this in the very beginning, that we have two new series, one being 75X and another one being Mortgage Extras. And it was because we're getting requests for people that wanted to be on the podcast, that wanted to talk about, their either what they're doing, what their, their business, or how they can motivate people, that had some value to the mortgage industry, but these people aren't part of the mortgage industry. And Mortgage X, when Christine and I decided to do it, we wanted to make sure that we kept it to the industry. But because we had so many people ask, and because we think a lot of these people will have some value to somebody in the industry, we decided to create a new series, which we called Mortgage Extras. And that episode, the very first episode of that series, drops this Monday. So be on the lookout for that. So before we get into what I'm going to be talking about today, a real quick 75 Hard update. I am on day 30. Actually, day 37 is today as I'm recording this. And then as you're listening to this or watching this, more likely it's going to be day 38 for me. And things are going good, right? I'm beat. I'm tired. I'm just exhausted. It was a rough day today, but I powered through, and that's the whole part of doing 75. And if you're interested, because I'm getting messages all the time about 75 Hard, if you're interested in joining a group that I created just for mortgage and real estate professionals, you could go to Facebook groups and just search for Mortgage X 75. And we have about 25 people, I think, that are all trying 75 Hard, doing it. And some people are day 1, day 2, some are like day 15. So it's just a wide range of people doing 75 Hard. So I invite you to do that. Now, for today's topic is going to be, well, I kind of went back and forth on this. And I think the one I was originally going to do, that is called Don't Be an Ask Hole. That's ASK hole. But I decided I'm going to do that next. I'm going to do that next Wednesday is that one. Just because something else popped up, like as I was planning, like just so you guys know, the way I do these episodes is something comes to me, I'm listening or I'm doing 75 hard. And as I'm listening to music and podcasts and things just pop in my head. I was like, you know what, that'd be a good thing to talk about. But really it's about lessons I'm learning personally for myself. It's about things that I am going through, things that I am seeing personally, with my transformation. So I think about, I just think about, oh, well, that would be a good thing to talk about. This would be something good to cover. I think people would get some value out of that. So what I wanted to talk about today is because I was wall to wall calls today, trying to get things done. And part of 75 Hard is finishing. And it's a commitment, no compromises, no substitutions. You set out to do something and you finish it, right? And one of the reasons why I did 75 Hard is because of that, is because there's a lot of projects and things I want to get started. Some of them I finished them, a majority of them I did not. And so it's really, doing this was really a driver for me to get in the mindset of finishing what I start out to do. And so, and not just be, I finished this, not finish that, finish this, not finish that. But this is something I really wanted to finish. And so it's really getting my mind. So with that, with some of these calls today, and I had the Pathfinder X coaching call that I do in the Mortgage X Mastermind once a week on Tuesdays. I see so many people giving up without putting time into what they're doing. And again, if you go back to episode 1, what I talk about is that this whole 75X series is about the lessons I'm learning about myself, right? And so if this is your first episode, people might say, oh, well, you're just coming down on people, you're telling people what they should do. No, these are things that I'm learning about, things that I did that I need to correct. And I know there's others out there that maybe feel the same or be like, you know what, that speaks to me. I'm doing that same shit. So I need to quit that. I need to, stop and figure that out and whatever. So that's it. So it's not me at all talking down to anybody. It's basically me having conversations with myself, and then I'm explaining those conversations to you and things that I see in the industry, and hopefully you find value from them. So this one for the commitment to finish, right? And I've said this before, you got to have a non-negotiable commitment to execute, right? It's got to be non-negotiable. You got to have that mindset to do it. And that's really what 75 Hard is. So I see it all the time when people are just giving up. They're either, they try Facebook ads for 30 days and then they give up. They try to, I'm going to use this tool, or I'm going to use this tactic and strategy, and they use it for a month and then they give up. Or they sign up for a CRM and and it's not the CRM's fault, but to their own, just the way that they are, they won't commit to really using the CRM the way it's supposed to be used, or taking the time to learn it, right? And I know we're all busy, but we just can't use that as an excuse anymore. You got to commit to finishing what you start out to do. So if you sign up for a CRM, then finish it, learn how to use it. And it takes time. It's going to take 60 days, maybe 90 days to really dial in your CRM the way you want it, right? If you're using a tool like I had a call with HomeBot because I'm about to bring them on as a partner to Mortgage X. If you're, and I've seen some loan officers that are just crushing it using HomeBot, and some loan officers that say it doesn't work. And because I know HomeBot works, when I hear that and I look at the loan officer, I'm like, I don't think you're really putting in the effort to make it work. And that's the thing, is like, you're going to have to spend some time and effort to make the tools work. You're going to have to give time for things to work, right? It could take 30 days, could take 60, could take 90 days, could take 6 months to get things work. But all things eventually, through time and effort, and more importantly, hard work, will start to help you in what you set it out to help you with in the beginning, right? You signed up for this tool for a certain reason. You signed up to do Facebook ads for a reason, or YouTube ads, or whatever it happens to be. You got to give it time to work. There are no quick fixes. There are no quick shortcuts to success. You have to commit to doing these things. And I've done this where I was checking out a course or watching a webinar or doing a virtual conference, and I watched a few things, and then I got sidetracked, and I do it to myself, right? And that's the thing, is like, I'm starting to realize that I just do this to myself, and I need to commit to finishing these. And when I do, I'm always the better for it. I always learn something, I always have takeaways from it. But that's the thing, is like, you really do have to commit to finishing whatever it is. And that's one thing that I'm learning in 75 Hard, is that it's about a commitment to finish what you start, right? Because that builds a lot of different things. Because if you get in the habit of not finishing things, and then you go on to the next thing, and then you go on to the next thing, and then you try this, and this one's not going to work because you're going to put the same effort that you put in this, that you put in that. And there's a quote that I like it. It's how you do something is how you do, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So if you half-ass one thing, or you decide that, hey, we just, for whatever reason, we didn't put in the effort to learn how to use this tool correctly, and then you go and try to find another tool, right? And you're just going to continue to do that. And and this is one thing that I think loan officers need to understand. Finding the right CRM is a challenge, right? You got to find one that's going to, it's going to fit for you. Or finding, like if you're trying to use like Mortgage Coach or MBS Highway or something, like it takes time to find the right tool that works for you, right? But it's never going to work for you if you don't take the time to learn it and put in the effort to finish, and then take the time to see if it is going to work for you. Otherwise, you're just going to be hopping from tool to tool. I see that so many times. There are so many loan officers that I've coached that would see the shiny new thing, and they would be all gung-ho on one thing for like a few days, and then all of a sudden move right on to something else and right on to something else. You're never going to learn or be an expert at anything with that type of mentality. You got to finish it. Even if at the end of that time that you spent, it ends up not being the right tool, or it ends up not being the right service or solution or company, whatever it happens to be, you got to give it time to do it, right? Because you'll know one way or another. Otherwise, you're just going to keep skipping from product or company or service to whatever. So the way that I am doing this personally is, I talked about this on last week's episode about angels and demons, is I listen to that angel voice, and the angel voice will always be right. The angel voice will always tell you what you should be doing. The demon voice is the one that talks you out of doing what you need to do, right? It talks you out of not drinking when you're supposed to be, like I said, when like you shouldn't be having a beer or alcohol, or you go to a barbecue and you're like, oh man, I got to have chips and dips, even though it's against your diet. Like, you're trying to eat healthy, you're trying to lose weight. Like, and I'm telling you, food's my vice, right? Like, I just love to eat. I just do. I love food. And the thing is, I don't like eat badly, but like, I love pasta, right? Like, I love pasta. I would say the one junk food that is a vice for me is chips. Like, but I found a good alternative for that. Thanks to Kevin Ducey of Whiteboard. He introduced me to these things called Quest protein chips. I highly recommend them, and they actually taste pretty good. And if you don't want to eat regular chips and want to have a healthy alternative, that is definitely the one to go to. So as you're, whatever it is, whatever you're doing right now, maybe it's you're thinking about, you want to go into the niche of doing VA loans, right? Or maybe you're thinking about doing a niche as an agent, or whatever it happens to be. One, if you decide you're going to do something, do it right. That's one thing that I'm learning with 75 Hard, right? And it's not like any of this stuff is earth-shattering or ground-shaking, but sometimes it's the messenger. And sometimes you finally have it in you, right? And we've all had that, right? I think you guys can understand where you just, something for whatever reason, it sticks and you end up doing it, even though you've tried and failed like 10 times, like diets going to the gym, being consistent with that. The thing with 75 Hard is like, you can't deviate. You have to. There is no days off. There is no like, well, maybe I'm going to, no, you have to do it to the letter. That's the whole point of the program, is to build mental toughness. And so think about that in your daily life as a loan officer or an agent, right? This is about trying to be the best that you could be. This is about trying to do what you want to do. And it's not for everybody, right? Some people could be perfectly happy from jumping and whatever, but that's the thing. And that's why I was going to talk about being an askhole, again, ASKHOLE. And I'm going to talk about that next week, just to give you a little preview. But that's the thing, is like, if you don't ask, don't post, don't do anything if you're not the commit to do it, because otherwise you're wasting your time. You're wasting everybody's time in the group. Like, honestly, like, that's what you're doing. You're wasting people's time if you're not to commit to something. Don't ask about what, I don't even want to get into it, because that's going to be next week's episode, because I saw some things this week that was just driving me nuts. And again, this all goes back to me too, right? This isn't like me saying like, hey, I'm doing everything right and you're doing everything wrong. No, it's like, I was doing a lot of shit wrong, and I'm doing it right. And I want everyone to learn from that, because I want everyone to experience what I'm doing, because I feel better. I feel happier. I feel more excited, more energized now that I have found whatever it is that it was to really get me on the right track. So I'll leave you with this. You have to have a non-negotiable commitment to execute. Commitment to finishing. And I'm telling you, once you start doing that on a consistent basis, then that's how you're going to do everything. And like I said, some things aren't going to work out, but guess what? You finished it and you found out, because this is it. What if you only gave something and you half-assed it, learning a tool or something for 30 or 60 days, and then it doesn't work. I'm doing something else, right? And then little did you know that if you would have given it just a little bit more time and actually put in the effort to learn it, that could have been the game changer on growing your business, right? You never know. When you give up on something, you never know what it could do. And when you put it through its paces and you know it's not going to work, that's not giving up. That's like, hey, I found out that this wasn't the right fit for me. But if you're not going to even put in the effort, then you're just wasting time, and you're wasting other people's time too. So think about that. Think about what you could do to finish what you start. So that's it for this episode of 75X. Again, would love for you to give me some feedback, subscribe, give us a review. Would love to hear from you. Also, I have an email address if there's anything that's 75 hard related, 75x at marketinginterrupt.com. You could send that to me if you have any questions. And also, for those of you that are listening to us, and I know there's some of my people on here that are doing 75 hard. I said this in the very beginning. If you have a story, or if you're learning about something, or if you had like just a aha moment while you're going through 75 hard, let me know. Like, I'd love to just have you on here to do a quick chat and just talk about 75 hard. Again, I don't want this just to be me. I want this to be a community thing. And seeing the progress of people doing it in the Facebook group has been great. And honestly, that's the best thing about this. Also, check out the Next Level Loan Officers podcast. I was just on there. I produced that podcast on top of what I do here, and then the Marketing Interrupt podcast. But I produced the Next Level, and we're doing the Meet the Coaches series. And Sean just actually had me on to talk about 75 hard and what that was doing to me. So check it out. And Next Level Loan Officers are a part of the Real Disrupt podcasting family as well. So my name again is Jason Frazier, and thank you for taking time out of your day or evening or whenever you're listening to this to hang out with me. And for those of you that are streaming this, thank you for downloading Workflix, and thank you for streaming me on your device, Apple TV or whatever it happens to be. I hope you have an amazing evening, amazing day, and amazing rest of your week. And go out there and find something cool to do. Go out there and finish strong. Go out there and execute and make your life and business better. Hope you have a great day. Take care.
Wolfpack is back, cause I'm mass destruction. Guess who's here? The bad boys arrest me. Testing competition when the